Hi guys. We had a call this morning. I had a group coaching call this morning, and one of the things that we were talking about was that feeling like everybody knows more than you, and it makes you feel really inadequate, brings out the imposter syndrome, can make you try and do all of the things or none of the things sometimes. And it's really common when we're at the front end of our business, the beginning of our business, and we're just kind of putting those first feelers out into the business world. And I wanted to dive in a little bit more to it for you guys and unpack a bit about what's going on here, because when you understand what's going on, as with everything, makes it easier to move through it and to take action despite those feelings of inadequacy or imposter syndrome or whatever's going on. So here's what's going on for us right now. We've got our brain, and within our brain, we've got a number of different things happening. Okay. So we've got the known knowns. This is stuff that we know that we know. We call it conscious competence. We know that we understand how it works. We know that we're good at it. It's a skill that we've got, a particular skill that we've got. It might be writing copy, building websites. It might be, anything like that, organizing, whatever. Known knowns, things that we know that we're good at. Then on the other side, and this is where the trouble starts for us lot, is there is a bunch of stuff that we don't know, but we know that we don't know it, and that's called conscious incompetence. So we know that there's a whole bunch of stuff that we don't know yet. And then obviously there's a bunch of stuff that we don't know and we don't really pay too much heed to that, except sometimes when we're in this kind of worry about how much stuff we don't know and that everybody knows more than us. We do then start to worry about, well, if there's this much stuff that I don't know, that I know I don't know, how much stuff is there that I don't know that I need to know yet? And we call that unconscious incompetence. These are the things that we don't know, and we don't know that we don't know them because we don't need to know them, perhaps. And then on the other side of it is the unknown knowns. This is what we call unconscious competence. This is the things that you're such an expert in that you totally take it for granted, and so you discount the fact that you know this stuff. So for me, a really good example of that would be, and some of you who've been following me for any length of time, you'll have heard me talk about this already, is about follow-up. So I had said to a client who had got some interest in the thing that she was selling, well, obviously you've followed up with those people, haven't you? And she said, what? No, what's follow-up? Do I need to do that? And I, the penny really dropped for me then, that here was this thing that I totally take for granted and I'm quite good at, that I thought everybody knew. It's just a natural skill. Well, as I say, it's a natural skill of mine. It's kind of been honed over years of running businesses and doing this kind of stuff. The unknown knowns, things that you're so good at, you totally take for granted, so much so you don't even think about it anymore. Okay. So then what happens is, and here's us, this little person, we look at all the other groups of people and we see them through our own filter. And our filter is based on, usually, especially when we're at the beginning, they know more than us, they're better than us, I'll never be as good, and all of that kind of stuff, because we're viewing it through our own filter and we're putting a negative slant on it almost all the time. And what that brings up is feelings of sadness. And it puts our brain into like this fight or flight or freeze mode, which is not good when you are starting to run a business. Okay. So that brings up all the imposter syndrome, the inadequacy feelings, that I'll never be as good as them, I'm never going to get any clients. It's very kind of black and white, all or nothing thinking. And it doesn't serve us well, because what happens is it puts us into like this locked up feeling where our brain tries to keep us safe by doing one of three, like caveman, cavewoman for us, activities, which is fight, flight, or freeze. So fight is when you're maybe you're super determined, but you're doing all the things, because you don't know which one you should be doing first, so you're just trying to do all the things. Or maybe you're learning all the things in an attempt to reach the same level as those that you perceive around you have reached. You're trying to learn all of the things, and you're potentially overloading yourself and confusing yourself with learning all the things. The other thing is we go into flight mode, which is we give up too soon. We think it's never going to work, and we give up too soon because we want to save ourselves from the humiliation of trying and failing. So we just fail early. Like I'm a big fan of failing, and I'm a big fan of failing early, but only if you treat it as a lesson, not as like a complete giving up. Or we go into freeze mode, which is when we're in like major procrastination mode. We don't do anything, or we do like really pointless things like tweaking the back end of our website until it's perfect. Hint, hint, it's never going to be perfect. So just, you know, like, get it out there, girls. All right. So fight, flight, or freeze. Our brains are trying to keep us safe at this point in time. So here's what's going on. Like, we've got this perception that we know a tiny amount, and that everybody around us knows so much more than us. That's our perception, which is why we get those kind of feelings of inadequacy and never going to be good enough, black or white thinking that I mentioned. The reality is we know a certain amount of stuff, and they know a certain amount of stuff, and it's probably different stuff. Remembering that you've got a bunch of things that you're so expert in, you don't even think about them anymore, and you totally take it for granted. Okay, so the reality is you know stuff and they know stuff. Okay, so what happens is we give so much attention to the known unknowns, what we know we don't know. We give they shout really loud, they kind of slap us in the face, oh, you don't know this and you don't know that and you'll never be good enough for that. And also we pay attention to that kind of yawning gap of unknownness, what we don't know, and oh my god, how much don't we know yet. And we need to give a bit more attention to those quieter things that are happening for us, the things, the known knowns and the unknown knowns. So that's what we know and what we're so expert in and we take for granted. We need to take a bit more time, energy, and give that a little bit more attention. Okay, so feed up that, get the good feelings going, and yes, take note of the known unknowns, but not so much that it kind of leads you into this paralysis state, because that's not good for anybody. So a few things to remember for us, okay, is that, remember, everybody started with a big fat 0 clients. Everybody started at 0. They all started with one person in their Facebook group. They all started with the first person signing up for their course. They all started with the first person to buy a particular product. Okay, everybody started at 0, and then they went to 1, and then they went to 2, and then maybe they went to 5 and 10 and so on. And that's how it happens. Remember what you are an expert at. Like we said in the previous slide, remember what you are an expert at. And for the things that you're not expert at yet, or you're still learning, and I've said it quite a lot here already, is to add yet to the end of it. Oh, I don't know that, I don't know that, I don't know that. Instead of saying I don't know that, I don't know that yet. Because what that does is it invites the possibility that, yeah, you don't know it, but there will be a point in the future where you do know it, and that's okay. And that kind of takes that panic out of everything for us. Okay, I don't know that yet. All right, the next thing is to just do one thing at a time, the next right thing, coining a phrase from Elsa. So this year just gone, or that's nearly gone, I really wanted to do a Facebook ads course. I kind of knew that I probably wouldn't use it yet. And so, bearing in mind how quickly we know Facebook changes, it would be money and time that I'd spent for nothing, because I wouldn't use it. I would forget what the course was all about. And probably by the time I come to use it next year, a bunch of stuff will have changed. So for me, doing one right thing at a time is super duper important, because if your attention is too spread too thinly, you don't give enough energy to the things that you are doing. And then, to coin a phrase from Dawn Walton, the female identity coach, because I really love this, is remember, it's who you are, it's not what you do. We put so much emphasis on what we do and what we don't do that we forget that we as people are full, resourceful, whole, we're wise, we have the answers. We just panic that we don't. All right, so remember who you are, not what you do. I really hope that was helpful for you guys. I would love to know what you thought of it. What's been your biggest insight from this, and how you're going to do things differently? Let me know below.